The observation station floated in the dark space above Kepler-4, for to be like a metal moon. Inside, 4 alien beings sat at glowing screens. They had watched the human colony below for 3 long years. Every day, they took notes. Every night, they sent reports back to the Galactic Council. Commander Vextal of the Zephyrian race tapped his long fingers on his desk. His blue skin glowed softly in the dim light. "The humans are building another wall today," he said to his team. "Why do they always build walls?" asked scientist Morden. His 4 eyes blinked in confusion. "Other species run when danger comes. Humans build walls and fight." Dr. Kalana, the station's medical officer, shook her head. Her silver hair moved like liquid metal. "I have studied 17 different species. None act like humans. They feel pain worse than us, but they never stop fighting. They get hurt worse than us, but they keep going." "Look at this one," said tech specialist Gerwin. He pointed at his screen. It showed a human female in a green military uniform. Lieutenant Yuna Kim, age 28. She has fought in 12 battles. She was shot 3 times, burned once, and lost 2 friends last month. But look at her. The others looked at the screen. Lieutenant Kim was training new soldiers in the colony's main square. She moved fast and strong. Her face was hard like stone. She showed the young humans how to load their weapons, how to take cover, how to survive. "She never cries," Dr. Kalana said quietly. "In 3 years, I have never seen a human cry, not once." Commander Vextal nodded. "My people cry when we are sad or scared. The Morden people cry when they are angry. The Kalana people cry when they are happy, but humans, never." "Maybe they cannot cry," suggested Gerwin. "They have tear ducts," Dr. Kalana said. "Their bodies can make tears, but they choose not to." The 4 aliens had seen horrible things happen to the humans. They watched the siege of New Horizon, where Lieutenant Kim held a wall for 6 hours while monsters attacked. Her arm was broken, her face was bleeding, but she kept fighting. She never cried. They watched her lose her best friend in a tunnel collapse. She held his hand while he died. Her face was sad, but no tears fell. She just closed his eyes and picked up his weapon. Watched her get news that her brother was missing in space. She stood very still for a long time. Then she went back to work. Still no tears. "Humans are the strongest fighters in the galaxy," Commander Vextal wrote in his daily report. "They do not break. They do not surrender. They do not cry." The Galactic Council was very interested in humans. These small, weak-looking creatures could fight better than species twice their size. They could survive in places that would kill others. They never gave up. "Keep watching them," the council had ordered. "Learn their secrets." On this day, Lieutenant Kim was teaching a group of young humans how to repair broken weapons. The aliens watched her work. She was patient with the students. She showed them the same thing many times, until they learned it right. Then the communication system made a loud beeping sound. Lieutenant Kim looked up. Her face changed. The beeping meant an important message was coming from Earth. She walked to the big screen in the colony's command center. The other humans followed her. Everyone was quiet. The screen flickered. A man in a dark uniform appeared. His face was very serious. "This is Admiral Park from Earth Defense Command," the man said. His voice was shaking. "I have terrible news. The Void Swarm has reached Earth. Our defenses have failed. Earth ... Earth is gone." The screen went black. Lieutenant Kim stood very still. The other humans around her made small sounds of shock and fear. Some put their hands over their mouths. Some held each other. But Lieutenant Kim just stood there like a statue. The aliens watching from space leaned closer to their screens. They had seen humans get bad news before. The humans always stayed strong. Then something changed in Lieutenant Kim's face. Her hard expression began to crack like ice breaking on a warm day. Her knees began to shake. She fell to the floor, and then Lieutenant Yuna Kim, the strongest human they had ever seen, began to cry. The sound was terrible. Deep, painful sobs that came from somewhere very dark inside her. Tears ran down her face like rivers. Her whole body shook with sadness. The other humans in the room started crying too. Soon the whole colony was filled with the sound of human tears. Up in the observation station, the 4 aliens sat in complete silence. Their screens showed humans crying everywhere in the colony. Commander Vextel's hands were shaking as he reached for his communication device. "Emergency message to the Galactic Council," he whispered. "We have a problem. The humans are crying. If the humans are crying, then something very, very bad is coming." The message from the observation station traveled faster than light across the galaxy. Within 6 hours, every major alien government knew the same terrifying fact. Humans were crying. On the Zephyrian homeworld, Supreme Commander Nelthorn sat in his crystal palace reviewing battle records. The Zephyrians were the best military strategists in the galaxy. They had studied every species for thousands of years. "Search all human contact files," he ordered his assistants. "Find any record of human tears." The computers worked for 3 hours. The answer came back: 0 results. "This is impossible," whispered General Kolthara. "We have recordings of humans in every situation. Humans who lost their families. Humans who were tortured. Humans who watched their planets burn. Not one tear." Commander Nalthorn felt cold fear in his chest. If beings who laugh while dying are now crying, then we face something beyond our understanding. Across the galaxy on the machine world of Nexus Prime, the Mechanic Collective received the same message. These beings were part robot, part living creature. They thought only in numbers and logic. Unit Prime 7739 ran the data through every calculation program they had. The machines worked without stopping for 2 full days. Result: no logical explanation found. Unit Prime 7739 announced to the collective. Human emotional response does not match any known pattern. Probability of human tears without extreme threat, 0.001%. The machines began to worry, which was unusual for them. If their math could not explain human behavior, something was very wrong. In the distant nebula, where the ethereal communion lived, the news caused panic. These floating, ghost-like beings could see emotions as colors in the air. To them, feelings were like bright paintings in space. Elder Whispersong had watched human emotions for decades. Human feelings are always bright red for anger, gold for joy, or silver for sadness, she told her people. But now their emotions are a color I have never seen. It is dark purple, almost black. This color means something terrible is coming. The ethereal beings floated away from their homes in fear. If the humans felt something this dark, they wanted to be far away when it arrived. Within 12 hours, emergency meetings began on every major world. The Galaxy Council called the first emergency session in 50 years. Representatives from hundreds of species gathered on the neutral station above Centauri Prime. The meeting hall was filled with worried voices in dozens of languages. "Order, order," called Council Leader Morgantis, a tall being with 6 arms. "We all know why we are here. The humans are crying." A wave of frightened whispers filled the room. "The humans fight our wars for us," said Representative Dalmora of the Peaceful Traders Union. "They are our soldiers, our protectors. They never show fear. If they are afraid, what should we do?" "Run," said someone from the back of the room. "If humans are scared, we should all run." But there was nowhere to run. If something could make humans cry, it could probably follow them anywhere. Back on Kepler 442b, the human colony had changed completely. The observation station watched everything with growing worry. The humans had always been loud. They talked loudly, laughed loudly, and even fought loudly. But now the colony was quiet. Lieutenant Kim walked through the streets like a ghost. Her eyes were red from crying, but she had stopped making tears. Now, she just looked empty. "Look at this," said Dr. Kalana, pointing at her screen. "The humans are gathering in small groups." The aliens watched as groups of 5 or 6 humans met, in quiet corners. They spoke very softly. Sometimes they held each other's hands. "What are they saying?" asked Commander Vextel. Gerwin adjusted his listening equipment. The words came through clearly. "I want you to know that you were a good friend. Take care of yourself. It was an honor to serve with you. Remember me." Dr. Kalana's eyes opened wide. They are saying goodbye to each other. This was the most frightening thing yet. In 3 years of watching, the aliens had never seen humans say goodbye. Humans always talked about the future. They made plans for tomorrow, next week, next year. They never acted like time was ending, but now they were saying goodbye, like they would never see each other again. "Send another emergency message," Commander Vextel ordered. "Tell the Council that humans are saying goodbye. This means they think they are going to die." The message traveled across space to hundreds of worlds. Everywhere, the same reaction, pure terror. If the humans thought they were going to die, then probably everyone was going to die. The galaxy held its breath and waited for whatever was coming. Because, if it was bad enough to make humans cry, it was bad enough to end everything. The Galactic Council's best codebreakers worked day and night. They had caught pieces of human messages traveling through space. Most were too broken to understand, but slowly they put the pieces together, like a terrible puzzle. On the Council station, Tech Leader Zarmith stared at his screen with growing horror. "I have translated more of the human communications," he announced to the emergency meeting. The room fell silent. Every alien leader leaned forward to listen. "The enemy is called the Void Swarm," Zarmith began. His voice was shaking. "It is not like anything we have seen before. It is not alive, but it is not a machine either. It eats planets." "Eats planets?" asked Council Leader Morgantis. "What do you mean?" "It consumes everything. The ground, the air, the water, all living things. But that is not the worst part." Zarmith paused and looked around the room. "It learns. Every time someone fights it, the swarm learns new ways to fight back. Every weapon used against it makes it stronger." The room erupted in frightened voices. Species that had lived in peace for centuries suddenly understood they were facing something that could destroy everything. "How many worlds has it taken?" asked someone. 17, Zarmith replied. 17 worlds are completely gone. The swarm ate them all, and now it is moving toward the center of the galaxy, where most of us live. The aliens looked at each other in terror. The galactic center held thousands of worlds with trillions of living beings. "But surely our combined fleets can stop it," said Representative Dalmora. "We have ships from hundreds of worlds." Zarmoth shook his head slowly. "The human records show that 50,000 ships attacked the swarm at the Battle of Rigel Prime. Only 12 ships escaped. The swarm learned from that battle and became twice as strong." Meanwhile, far from the Council station, the last human fleet gathered in empty space. 300 ships was all that remained of humanity's once great navy. The ships were small compared to alien vessels, but they were built for war. Admiral Minho Choi stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Soul's Pride. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had fought the Void Swarm for 2 years. He had seen it destroy everything he loved. "Open a channel to all ships," he ordered quietly. The communication officer nodded. "All ships are listening, Admiral." Admiral Choi looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the swarm was moving toward billions of innocent lives. He thought about his daughter on Earth. She was gone now, like everyone else. "My fellow humans," he began. "We are the last. Earth is gone. Our colonies are gone. Our families are gone. In a few days, The void swarm will reach the galactic core. When it does, trillions will die. In the ships around him, thousands of human soldiers listened in silence. Many had tears on their faces, but their hands were steady on their weapons. The swarm learns from every battle, Admiral Choi continued. It gets stronger every time we fight it, but there is one thing it cannot learn from. One thing it cannot adapt to. He paused and looked at the faces of his crew. Good people. Brave people. People who deserved better than this. Complete destruction of its enemy, he said. If we destroy ourselves while fighting it, the swarm cannot learn anything new. Our sacrifice will wound it badly enough that others might have a chance. Captain Sujin Park, commander of the destroyer, Bison's Hammer, spoke over the communication system. Admiral, are you saying what I think you are saying? Yes, Captain Park. We are going to ram our ships into the swarm's heart. Every ship will carry every piece of antimatter we have left. Every quantum torpedo. Every nuclear weapon. When we hit the swarm, we will explode with the force of 100 suns. The human fleet was quiet for a long moment. Then, one by one, the ship captains began to respond. The Incheon's hope is ready, Admiral. Daegu's fury standing by. Gwangju's vengeance ready to serve. Admiral Choi felt tears on his face, but his voice was strong. We will not run. We will not hide. We will die so that others may live. Back, on the observation station above Kepler-4, for 2b. The aliens finally understood the truth. Dr. Kalana had been listening to the human communications with growing shock. They are not crying because they are afraid, she whispered to her team. They are crying because they are going to kill themselves to save us. Commander Vextal stared at his screen in amazement. They planned to sacrifice their entire species. Yes, Dr. Kalana said. Every human ship, every human life. They are going to destroy themselves to wound the swarm badly enough to give the rest of us a chance to survive. The 4 aliens sat in stunned silence. They finally understood why humans never cried before. Humans did not cry from fear or pain. They cried when they chose to die for others. The galaxy was about to learn what human tears really meant. Admiral Choi's fleet moved through space like ghosts, heading toward their own funeral. 300 human ships traveled in perfect formation. Inside each ship, men and women prepared for death. On Kepler-4 to be Lieutenant Yuna Kim stood in the colony's communication center. Her hands shook as she typed a message to her daughter. Mina Kim lived on a mining colony, 12 light years away. She was only 8 years old. My dearest Mina, Lieutenant Kim spoke into the recording device. Mommy has to go away now. I want you to know that everything I taught you was true. Be brave, be kind, take care of others. She stopped and wiped tears from her eyes. In the background, other humans were making their own final calls to family and friends across the galaxy. We taught the galaxy that humans don't break, Lieutenant Kim continued. Today, we show them what we'll break for. I love you, my little star. Remember me. She ended the recording and sent it into space. Then she walked to the colony's main square, where Captain Ji-hoon Park was waiting with the other colonists. The transport ships are ready, Captain Park said quietly. We have enough antimatter to take out a section of the swarm's outer shell. Lieutenant Kim nodded. She looked around at the faces of people she had lived with for 3 years. Farmers, engineers, teachers, children. All of them were leaving their homes to die. Are we really doing this? Asked Dr. Woojin Lee, the colony's doctor. He was holding his medical bag, but there would be no healing where they were going. Yes, Captain Park replied. Every human colony received the same message from Admiral Choi. Every human is making the same choice. Across the galaxy, the same scene played out on hundreds of worlds. On the farming planet of New Sol, 3,000 humans abandoned their crops and loaded their small ships with explosives. On the ice moon of Hana Station, miners filled their cargo vessels with unstable reactor cores. On the luxury resort, World of Paradise Bay, Wealthy humans who had never seen combat gave up their comfortable lives to pilot cruise ships, loaded with nuclear weapons toward certain death. The Galactic Council's monitoring stations watched in growing horror as human settlements everywhere went dark, not because they were destroyed, but because every single human was leaving. "This cannot be real," whispered Council Leader Morgantis, as he stared at the reports flooding in. "No species chooses total extinction. It goes against every instinct for survival." Representative Dalmora of the Peaceful Traders Union was crying. Her people had worked closely with humans for decades. They are leaving everything behind. Their homes, their art, their history, all of it. The reports kept coming. From the edge of the galaxy to its center, humans were abandoning everything they had built. Children said goodbye to their pets. Artists destroyed their paintings rather than leave them behind. Scientists deleted their research. "They are erasing themselves," said tech leaders Armoth. "They want to make sure nothing of human culture survives to distract them from their mission." The most shocking discovery came from the intelligence services. The humans were not just sending volunteer soldiers. They were sending everyone. Every man, every woman, every teenager old enough to pilot a ship. "The human children on Colony Brightstar," reported scanner technician Veltani. "They are loading school buses with mining explosives. Children aged 15 and 16 are piloting ships." The aliens could not understand it. Every other species in the galaxy would save their young first. But humans were sending their children to die alongside their warriors. On the observation station above Kepler 4 to B, Dr. Kelena watched the colony's final evacuation. The last transport ship lifted off carrying Lieutenant Kim and her people. The planet they left behind looked empty and sad. "I need to understand something," Dr. Kalana said to her team. "Why are the human children volunteering for this?" Gerwin had been listening to human communications. "I heard a young human girl talking to her father," she said. "If we don't do this, there won't be any children left anywhere in the galaxy." Commander Vextel felt something break inside his chest. The humans were not just sacrificing themselves. They were sacrificing their future, their species, their very existence, to give other species a chance to have children. The reports from across the galaxy painted the same picture. Humans streaming toward the void swarm from every direction. Not armies or fleets, but entire populations. Farmers in cargo ships, doctors in medical transports, artists in passenger vessels, all of them loaded with every explosive device humanity had ever created. "They have turned their entire species into a weapon," whispered scientist Morden. "Every human ship is now a guided missile. Every human life is now a warhead aimed at the swarm." The Galactic Council sat in stunned silence as they realized what they were witnessing. This was not a military operation. This was the planned extinction of an entire species to save everyone else. The humans had chosen to die so that the galaxy might live. The void swarm was a darkness that moved between stars. It looked like a storm made of black metal and hungry light. The alien observation ships stayed far away as they watched it approach the Rigel system. Then the human ships appeared. They came from every direction like shooting stars, converging on a single point. Thousands of vessels of every size and shape. Cargo ships, passenger liners, military destroyers, even small personal shuttles. All of them flying straight toward the enormous swarm. The aliens watching from safe distances had never seen anything like it. The human ships did not form battle lines or try to outmaneuver the enemy. They simply flew directly into the swarms. Massive bulk and exploded. Captain Ji-hoon Park's transport ship was among the first to strike. His vessel, filled with colonists from Kepler 4 to B, aimed for one of the swarm's processing nodes, a massive tower that helped the creature think and plan. "For the galaxy," Captain Park said quietly into his communicator as his ship disappeared into the swarm's dark surface. The explosion lit up space like a small sun. The swarm shuddered. Part of its outer shell cracked and began to bleed strange light. But it was so massive that one explosion barely hurt it. Then came the second wave of human ships, and the third, and the fourth. Lieutenant Una Kim piloted a small medical ship loaded with antimatter charges. She had volunteered to aim for the swarm's heart, the central core, where its consciousness lived. It was the most dangerous target because the swarm protected it heavily. "Mina, Mummy loves you," she whispered as her ship broke through the swarm's defenses. Strange metal tentacles tried to grab her vessel, but she was too fast. Her ship disappeared deep into the swarm's body. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a brilliant white light exploded from inside the creature. The swarm let out a sound like a dying star, a noise so loud that ships hundreds of miles away felt their hulls shake. The aliens watching felt hope for the first time in days. The humans were actually hurting this terrible enemy, but the cost was enormous. Every explosion meant hundreds of human lives were gone forever. Dr. Woojin Lee flew his hospital ship into the swarm's feeding tubes. Farmer Kyung-soo crashed his cargo vessel into its sensor arrays. Teacher Hannah Park, who had spent her life teaching children, guided her school transport into the creature's memory banks. One by one, the human ships disappeared in bursts of light and fire. Each explosion tore away another piece of the swarm. Each sacrifice made the monster weaker. The battle lasted for 18 hours and spread across 3 star systems. The swarm tried to flee, but humans attacked it from every direction. When it turned toward the Centauri system, human ships from that area rammed into its face. When it tried to escape toward the outer rim, more humans were waiting. As the hours passed, the great creature began to fall apart. Its dark metal skin was broken in 1,000 places. Its processing nodes were destroyed. Its feeding systems were shattered, but it was still alive, still dangerous, still able to adapt and grow strong again. Admiral Minho Choi watched the battle from his flagship, Seoul's Pride. His ship was the largest and carried the most powerful weapons humanity had ever built. He had saved it for last because he knew what needed to be done. "All human ships, this is Admiral Choi," he announced on the communication system. "You have been the bravest souls the universe has ever known. Now, it is my turn." His ship was loaded with humanity's entire strategic reserve of antimatter, enough explosive power to destroy a small moon. He aimed his vessel directly at the swarm's central consciousness, the dark heart that kept the monster alive. "For Earth," Admiral Choi said. "For our children. For the galaxy." Seoul's Pride accelerated to maximum speed and disappeared into the swarm's core. The explosion was unlike anything the universe had ever seen. It started as a point of white light brighter than any star. Then it grew and grew until it filled the entire Rigel system with blazing energy. Ships 12 star systems away saw the flash. The light was so bright that some observers thought a new sun had been born. When the light finally faded, 3 days later, both the Void Swarm and humanity were gone. The space where the battle had taken place was empty except for cooling gas and scattered metal. Not a single human ship survived. Not a single human life remained. But the galaxy lived. On the council station, the alien representatives sat in complete silence for a long time. Finally, Council Leader Morgantis spoke. "We thought human tears meant the end was coming," he said quietly. "But we were wrong. Human tears meant the end of the beginning. They cried because they knew they would die for us." The Galactic Council created the Terran Memorial Protocols that same day. Every world would remember humanity's sacrifice. Every species would honor the humans who chose extinction to save others. The galaxy had seen a human cry, and finally learned what it meant to be truly alive.